5 seconds to go. Start. An advocate who is found guilty of contempt of court may also be guilty of professional misconduct in a given case, but it is for the Bar Council of the state or Bar Council of India to punish that advocate by either debarring him from practice or suspending his license as may be warranted in the facts and circumstances of each case. The learned Solicitor General informed us that there have been cases where the Bar Council of India, taking note of the contumacious and objectionable conduct of an advocate, had initiated disciplinary proceedings against him and even punished him for professional misconduct on the basis of his having been found guilty of committing contempt of court. We do not entertain any doubt that the Bar Council of the state or Bar Council of India, as the case may be, when apprised of the established contumacious conduct of an advocate by the High Court or by this court, would rise to the occasion and take appropriate action against such an advocate. Under Article 144 of the Constitution, all authorities, civil and judicial, in the territory of India shall act in aid of the Supreme Court. The Bar Council, which performs a public duty and is charged with the obligation to protect the dignity of the profession and maintain professional standards and etiquette, is also obliged to act in aid of the Supreme Court. It must, whenever facts warrant, rise to the occasion and discharge its duties uninfluenced by the position of the contemner advocate. It must act in accordance with the prescribed procedure whenever its attention is drawn by this court to the contumacious and unbecoming conduct of an advocate which has the tendency to interfere with the due administration of justice. It is possible for the High Courts also to draw the attention of the Bar Council of the state to a case of professional misconduct of a contemner advocate to enable the State Bar Council to proceed in the manner prescribed by the Act and the rules framed thereunder. There is no justification to assume that the Bar Councils would not rise to the occasion, as they are equally responsible to uphold the dignity of the courts and the majesty of law and prevent any interference in the administration of justice. Learned counsel for the parties present before us do not dispute, and rightly so, that whenever a court of record records its findings about the conduct of an advocate while finding him guilty of committing contempt of court and desires or refers the matter to be considered by the Bar Council concerned, appropriate action should be initiated by the Bar Council concerned in accordance with law, with a view to maintain the dignity of the courts and to uphold the majesty of law and professional standards and etiquette. Nothing is more destructive of public confidence in the administration of justice than rudeness or disrespectful conduct on the part of a counsel towards the court, or disregard by the court of the privileges of the bar. The functions discharged by a high court can be divided broadly into judicial and administrative functions. The judicial functions are to be discharged essentially by the judges as per the rules of the court and cannot be delegated. However, administrative functions need not necessarily be discharged by the judges by themselves, whether individually or collectively or in a group of two or more, and may be delegated or entrusted by authorization to subordinates unless there be some rule of law restraining such delegation or authorization. Every high court consists of some administrative and ministerial staff which is as much a part of the high court as an institution and is meant to be entrusted with the responsibility of discharging administrative and ministerial functions. There can be delegation as also there can be authorization in favor of the registry and the officials therein by empowering or entrusting them with authority or by permitting a few things to be done by them for and on behalf of the court so as to aid the judges in discharge of their judicial functioning. Authorization may take the form of formal conferral or sanction, or may be by way of approval or countenance. Such delegation of authorization is not a matter of mere convenience but a necessity at times. The judges are already overburdened with the task of performing judicial functions, and the constraints on their time and energy are so demanding that it is in public interest to allow them to devote time and energy as much as possible in discharging their judicial functions, relieving them of the need for diverting their limited resources of time and energy to such administrative or ministerial functions which, on my principle of propriety, logic, or necessity, are not required necessarily to be performed by the judges. Receiving a cause or a document and making it presentable to a judge for the purpose of hearing or trial, and many of functions post decision, which functions are administrative and ministerial in nature, can be and are generally entrusted or made over to be discharged by the staff of the High Court, often by making a provision in the rules or under the orders of the Chief Justice, or by issuing practice directions, and at times, in the absence of rules, by sheer practice. The practice gathers the strength of law, and the older the practice, the greater is the strength. The judges rarely receive personally any document required to be presented to the court. Plaints, petitions, memoranda, or other documents required to be presented to the court are invariably received by the administrative or ministerial staff, who would also carry out a preliminary scrutiny of such documents so as to find that they are in order, and then make the documents presentable to the judge so that the valuable time of the judge is not wasted over such matters as do not need to be dealt with personally by the Judge. Stop.